Good morning / evening, exiles. Scuffed Havoc 616 here, aka Ziggy D. I've taken control of the stream once again while Havoc is out traveling and is going to be putting on a show for us today. I'm here with Mr. Rise QT. Welcome back, Rise.
Oh wow, hey Ziggy. I just sat down. Hello everybody.
Welcome back, mate. Good to have you here.
I'm like, what are these suspicious voices that I hear in my kitchen? Oh, it's Ziggy D. What's up, man?
Quickly rushes. I told you the time, Havoc. That's Ziz. Rise. All the names.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody, for some more 2v2 community racing action. Today we have for you, starting off with the semi-finals, Goratha and Waggle versus Havoc and Zizaran. And then, at 5:40 PM, we'll be having Ventura and Dead and Doom face off against Gucci Pradas and Stupid Fat Hobbit. The winners from each round will move on to the grand finale, which will also, both of these, the semi-finals and the grand finals, will be 2v2 Izaro kills, including picks and bans. We'll be having the first round of pick and bans starting in just about 2 minutes. We'll find out whether people are feeling a little bit aggressive in their picks and bans today. I'm hoping for some dirty, underhanded tactics. What about you, Raz?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. I don't think the players have discussed too much about what exactly they want to be picking when it comes to the opposing teams. I'm sure they've discussed enough amongst each other, but yeah, there might be some underhanded tactics we're going to see. Anything goes in a race such as this one.
Indeed. We saw some gentlemen's agreements yesterday. People hoping, you know, just picking and banning silly things, or banning silly things specifically. But
generally banning specific, silly things. Although we might see, this is a Izaro race, so depending on the bans, we might see a little bit of funky, maybe higher level strategies if the players do feel like they have been targeted a little bit too savagely by the opposing teams in the ban and pick choices.
Absolutely, because Val himself is not much of a challenge for our races, but Izaro, on the other hand, is a definite challenge, getting through Labyrinth and defeating Izaro without dying, because dying to Izaro is basically race over. But yeah, it's going to be a little interesting if some of the better Izaro kills, like for example, I don't know, Blade Vortex, are taken out, then it could be pretty nasty for people. And I've been watching some practice runs, and the players have to practice with specific skills, not knowing that they're going to get them or not. So that's definitely going to throw some wrenches in the works, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So the thing that I'm excited most to see is we had a little bit of that yesterday, of that real teamwork amongst players, splitting up, trying to do everything in a very synergized way. But we didn't see too much of it because Act 2 generally is that requires it the most, when you take into account the trials that the players will have to do for this race specifically, which means that they might end up being a little bit over-leveled. We're going to have to see how they exactly plan this out.
They are probably going to want to be over-leveled in this race, I think. It is time for the picks and bans for race 1, Goratha and Waggle versus Havoc and Zizaran. So let's move on to the picks and bans. I'm going to get the teams to pick a heads or tails. Heads or tails. I'm going to get Havoc to roll for it. And then, Rise, don't look at the Discord, and you're going to pick the heads or tails for me.
Okay.
Get ready, mate. I'm going to wait for them to say first, so there's no underhanded cheating, stream watching.
They're really thinking this through.
They are. It's an important decision to be made here. All right, I almost said it out loud. Rise, what is your pick? Heads or tails?
Heads.
Heads
Always.
Again. It's heads. All right. You are team 2, Havoc. So they did not get the right pick. So let's go for the team 1 ban to start things off. We'll be getting a series of 4 bans alternating between each team. And this is their chance to really try and mess with each other.
Absolutely. So I really wonder if in this race specifically it's going to be more player targeted like we thought it might be yesterday, or if it's still going to be basically removing the things that the players feel least comfortable with.
And Waggle has banned Leap Slam as their first ban. What do you feel about the Leap Slam ban pick?
That's an interesting choice. Again, Waggle, not exactly the player that really likes to do a whole lot of leap slamming, more known for his incredible caster play. Although when pushed against the wall, he definitely did leap slam amongst the best of them in the past. So a little bit of an interesting pick, especially considering how powerful Goratha's leap slam can be in these races. Some might even consider that it is the second best next to Dead and Doom.
And almost as in response, the ban from Havoc is Blade Vortex, almost countering that caster play that was planned for there. Ooh, getting spicy.
Yeah, basically this opens up a choice either between going for that speedy progression or maybe possibly something slower with a better single target in the future. The player is definitely going to have to lock themselves into some good abilities on the picking phase here.
It's interesting because Havoc was specifically practicing Blade Vortex, so
wow.
he's that's definitely like a counter ban right there, because they're like, oh, I was going to play that, but they're obviously planning for some Blade Vortex action here, so I'm going to just be banning that, and we'll I've got a backup plan perhaps. So let's see. Waggle's response, or Team 1's response, is an Ancestral Protector ban.
Oh, wow. That is a very interesting pick, because Ancestral Protector for those melee abilities is typically the skill that will really allow you to do Izaro on an extremely low level with those weak weapons, possibly at most a Broad Axe or even a level 16 Cleaver.
You can, I guess it's a little bit higher level to get War Chief, so, but I guess that is potentially an option, but maybe a bit too high level.
I think depending on how much the players will feel like they have had their abilities denied, they might be going for a higher level strategy and just playing it out safe. I'm sure they're going to be keeping track of the other team and adjusting their strategy on the fly.
The final ban from Team 2 is going to be Frost Bomb. That's very interesting because Havoc was playing a Shadow, so I don't know what he's going to do now. He just banned both of his own skills.
Maybe that was the distraction. Maybe Havoc looked at it and he was like, you know what? I'm not that familiar with this. I haven't practiced enough. Maybe the other players will perform better with these abilities. Has taken the picks into account and which team starts off with what and decided against it.
He's looking a little bit concerned on stream here. It looks like Waggle is going to be playing Explosive Trap as his actual Izaro killing kill there. And he'll be locked into that from pretty early on.
Wow.
We saw that yesterday. Yeah, interesting choice.
Okay. Wow, that's very surprising. It did seem yesterday like Havoc has been getting punished by Explosive Trap pick quite a bit yesterday, as opposite to Waggle's Fire Trap pick that didn't quite lock him into that trap ability as early as level 1. So very interesting to see that he has gone for the strategy that we didn't see as having particularly much potential yesterday, but in this race apparently players have chosen to go all out here.
We can see Havoc and Zizaran discussing in the background their pick right now. So probably some last minute changes of plans due to how the actual bans themselves went. Yeah, that Explosive Trap is an interesting choice. I mean, it is a very strong single target skill, but yeah, maybe Fire Trap would have been a safer choice for that early progression, perhaps. Here we go. Our picks are in. We're going to be having Arc for Havoc. So that's probably going to be some Arc Trap action, I would imagine.
I would imagine so, especially seeing Waggle lock himself into an ability that does not utilize Onslaught. Yeah, possibly Arc Trap could be the pick here. We'll be seeing whether or not the clear speed is going to be high enough. I've done quite a bit of practice with Arc Trap, and it's pretty good, but, you know, Onslaught's pretty good too. Hopefully we didn't end up in a situation where Havoc thought the picks were first and then the bans were second, noticing how he's been kind of banning all his main abilities.
I wanted to pick Blade Vortex and Frostbomb. Our final picks are Ground Slam for Zizaran and Rain of Arrows for Goratha.
Okay. The Ground Slam from Ziz, I can absolutely understand. That seems to be the ability that he's practiced the most. Although, at this point, wait a minute. There's no Sunder pick.
There's no Sunder pick, man. Exciting.
Hold up.
Hold up. No one banned Sunder, and yet no one picked it. Ziz just went for Ground Slam anyway.
Yeah, I thought based off of Waggle picking Explosive Trap and Havoc and Ziz having that double pick, he would have went for the stronger ability, leaving him with a little bit more versatility in the early game, and then switching to the, some might say, better and safer single target for an Izaro kill, but instead he went for the ground slam. Very interesting. I think maybe they might be regretting this in a little bit here.
Yeah, very interesting choice. I don't know, maybe Ground Slam has got that sweet spot for single target damage now, so maybe he's feeling a little happy with that, though. Sunder has that range, which for Izaro is a little nice. He can dance out of melee range with it, a bit more than you can with Ground Slam. And, yeah.
I think maybe this is a failure of adjusting to the picks and bans, quite frankly, because Goratha also did not go for the Sunder pick either, and like mentioned before, he is one of the more powerful Sunder players that I know. Goratha, for the longest time, deemed to be the GOAT, the best racer of all time, winning multiple seasons, claiming every single signature race demi to have ever happened. When it came to an entire season, very impressive performance. He's got some achievements that nobody else has ever gotten in the past.
I think
to see him not go for the strongest ability,
yeah, yeah, a little interesting choice. I think Havoc's arc transition from the bans makes a lot of sense. Zizaran's Ground Slam maybe like, I wonder why that isn't Sunder. Waggle's Explosive Trap, maybe we'll see how that goes, because it does lock him in pretty early. But Goratha's Rain of Arrows is a bit of an interesting one, but I guess, you know, Ranger can get pretty good by the time you get to Izaro.
Yeah, but that's the thing too, with Waggle being primarily a shadow player who really excels at Act 1 in the early nice progression, to see him being locked into Explosive Trap that cannot utilize Onslaught, and his teammate being locked with a Rain of Arrows, I don't really know how fast they can get out of Act 1. I would imagine that Ziz and Havoc are going to be picking up quite an early lead in Act 1.
Yeah, and it's pretty important to note that being stuck in Act 1 is not very good when this is a race to a Izaro kill. You do need to get to Act 3 to kill Izaro.
Yeah, absolutely so. Maybe in a way they're setting themselves up for just a more comfortable Izaro kill and sacrificing the speed early on instead.
And with that said, we are off. And we're going to be seeing how that Act 1 plays out for everybody. We've got, as expected, the Shadow for Waggle and Havoc, and the Duelist for Ziz, and the Ranger for Goratha. Though it is possible we could have seen some Rain of Arrows Duelist, but Ranger may be making a bit more sense there.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. You primarily would like to focus on damage more than attack speed, I would imagine, in a format such as this one, because yeah, as much as a lot of players looking at this are like, oh yeah, Izaro, what's the big deal? That's not a difficult fight. These players are going to be doing it extremely underleveled. You might even see some level 21 kills in a level 33 Izaro zone. So that's a pretty difficult fight with 500 HP or so.
And I would also not be surprised if the person to get the most kills today is actually Izaro himself. I am anticipating and maybe eagerly looking forward to that, perhaps.
Absolutely so. I would imagine that these players are going to be looking at the opposite team very closely, judging every single move, seeing whether or not they have enough time to attempt a solid and safe Izaro kill, or whether they have to just step on the gas pedal and keep progressing as fast as possible.
I saw some boots there for Waggle. I don't know if they were move speed boots or just some random white boots they picked up off Hillock there. Didn't quite get a chance to see that one.
His movement speed does seem quite normal, so I believe that they're just regular boots, possibly picking them up for links.
Yeah, it did look like there were 3 linked possibly there.
I believe this guy has gotten a green-red, which isn't the best links for Ground Slam, but those are pretty good links for something like Frostblades. But unfortunately, again, because he locked himself into this one playstyle by picking Ground Slam over Sunder, he now can't fully utilize those links and instead is going to be stuck on a 2-link for a little bit.
Yeah, if you get that green red early on, it's always nice to have that flexibility to potentially use Frostblades, because it is pretty damn good on those links, but yeah, not in this case. He is indeed locked in.
Absolutely so, and you can also see the difference in the strategy for coast running. Both players, Goratha and Waggle, splitting up as opposite to the other team that from the very beginning sticks together and now splits up for Mudflats. They're going to be using the teleport portal strategies here. Let's see
Yeah,
how well
looks
they
like
can
it.
sync up.
They did pull that off in the last race, and if they sync it up well, it gives them a nice little edge here in the early game. Nice bit of time saved.
Absolutely. So you can see that Havoc's taking his time a little bit, killing a little bit more mobs, getting those levels, picking up a little bit of gear, while Zizaran is trying to get the submerged passes as fast as possible. He does have an extremely good layout if he just keeps heading up over here. Ooh, there we go. He should be hitting it in just a second. Oh,
No.
unfortunately, Ziz has gotten the little bit worse layout than the usual triangle. Rare situation, but it does happen, and unfortunately Havoc is going to have to wait for his teammate, as opposite to the other team that has already picked up their Quicksilvers.
He's not wasting too much time though. He gets Harrowrake down nice and low. We do see Havoc is going for that early Frostblade strategy, which we saw attempted yesterday, but did not work out so well due to lack of weaponry. So if Havoc stays on top of his weapons though, it might be a little bit better.
Yeah, this might be showcased by the pickup from Zizaran, that they have quite a bit of synergy, and from the beginning they were planning to pick up that green-green-red for Havoc, and I'm sure as soon as Ziz picks up some new weapons, they're going to be moving over that 3-link to Havoc at level 4 to be able to use Ancestral Call.
Yeah, that'd be really nice to see if they do that here. That'd make a lot of sense. I see a trade for Quicksilver. All the Quicksilver's being dumped on Zizaran as the runner for the early game stretch, I imagine.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Havoc again putting all his money on Ziz's practice with the double Quicksilver. He's going to be able to progress through Submerged very, very fast, putting it at late TP for the Brutus skill as Havoc tries to progress through the Mudflats themselves. The other players not too far behind though, with Goratha being on the lead, which is actually very impressive with a Ranger here. This is going to be tricky. Let's see what sort of layouts they can get. We can immediately see that Haku lands in Ziz's zone, which will definitely mess with his layout, possibly extending them or helping him out. He hits the ramp pretty quickly here. Goratha heading over to the left side, the more beneficial straightforward layout, although he might be going too high up. Goratha, what are you doing? Goratha, come back! There you go. He recognizes the layout. Hits the dead end, unfortunately, and will now be heading over to the left side to the ramp with Waggle shortly behind, with also a very good layout, too.
We did see just a bit ago, Waggle managed to pick up a Blackheart Iron Ring, which is not a bad unique for the early game here. Surprisingly, though, he didn't give it to Goratha. I would have imagined he would have passed that off to Goratha.
Oh, did he get it from Hellrake?
Not exactly sure where it dropped. I missed the actual drop, but I saw it in his inventory.
Well, they are teaming up right before entering Ledge, so there is a high possibility that one of these players will be entering the zone early, with the other one XPing the way Waggle is, and then trading over the ring in that zone. Unfortunately, Goratha does hit an L run, so Waggle has to run around for a little bit too long for either of these players comfort here. Wow,
and he's still looking for more things to fight. A lot of time wasting going on. And now Goratha is in the ledge and Waggle's not near the door, which is a little bit unfortunate. So a bit of awkwardness there.
Yeah, very much so. They had the right plan, but it didn't quite sync up.
Ziz getting very low to a pack of goats there, getting stuck and having a bit of trouble. Having some of those goats guessing
click your potions!
Goratha too. Don't click the potions, use the hotkeys. Maybe that was his problem. He was trying to click the potions. Everybody's going low. It's an exciting start. We're not only just got to ledge, and everyone's already dying.
Wow, yes, this hits a huge blue pack over here. Let's see how fast he can take care of it. That's pretty respectable damage. His gear seems to be alright. The level 1 weapon still doing work while he searches for the next level 6 base for his ground slam.
What I like about these team races is we actually see players killing unique mobs in zones because they're like, my other player is running, so in this case Havoc was killing the Blood Princess. Since Ziz is running, he's like, yeah, I might as well just kill some extra stuff, maybe get a bit of extra loot, get that power going.
Yeah, absolutely. Like mentioned in the races yesterday, definitely the players will be funneling both gear and currency towards the runner, as you can see with Zizaran being the runner for Team Havoc Ziz, having those 2 Quicksilvers, and Havoc just trying to pick up as many blue items as possible, making sure that Ziz has all the currency in the world and he can have a safe and clear run to Brutus so that they can both progress as fast as possible, with the opposing team of Goratha having the 2 Quicksilvers and being the runner. while getting a blue pack too.
Yeah, still not sacrificing too much XP in his running. Still getting some nice pack kills. Another big blue pack, but doesn't opt to kill the second one, though. I guess he feels like he has enough XP at that point. He's like, I gotta get running.
So.
I'm supposed to be ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a pretty nice ledge entry over on Ziza's side, to be honest. That was, I believe, a 5-minute ledge, which is a very respectable time. But at this point, Goratha is ahead. Despite the late entry to ledge, Goratha is halfway through climb, while Ziz has just barely entered it, focusing on yet another huge blue pack with a bunch of wheelie boys in there too.
Oh,
he has to be careful.
Yeah. Gonna be a little cautious on that one. And he's going very low. Bunch of burning arrows and fireballs and wheelie boys. It's all happening.
And
he's still
the
trying to
molten
get
shell
that pack.
too.
Oh yeah, the big molten shell. Taking him down quite low there. It's like trying to grab some of those items that have dropped to an extra coral ring. Give him a little bit of extra safety as he's running here. He's trying to swap his skills there, but he's like, oh, I can't ground slam with a sword.
Waggle with the secret strategy of killing Kuduku drops a rare coral ring. Wow.
Ooh, spicy.
With a second coral ring, this is absolutely some RNG manipulation right here. Goratha definitely banking on Waggle's crazy Kuduku RNG now, and hopefully they're going to be trading in for some items soon.
We are seeing a lot of XPing for Ziz here, which is a bit surprising given that he's the runner. He's still running ahead, and Havoc is also going for the secret Kuduku strategies. No rare coral ring for Havoc, though. But Ziz falling a little bit behind in the running.
Oh, absolutely so. This is honestly a pretty late prison entry. Ziz has met a lot of blue packs, which means that he is quite high level. He might even be level 7 here. He is! Wait, no. That node might be level 7? I'm not sure if it's level 6 or level 7. Should be level 7. He's been killing a lot. Yeah,
he's definitely level 7.
That's pretty high level, but he's also quite a bit behind, with Goratha being more of the player on pace in terms of progression. But with Ziz hitting these levels, maybe that's going to give them an advantage. But there's no leap slam to be used, so I'm not exactly sure what he's looking to do with these levels here.
Yeah, he's not hitting any sort of breakpoint there that's going to be super useful for him, since he is just ground slamming all the way. And again, like you said, no leap slam action. Havoc, on the other hand, getting that XP makes a lot of sense, where he wants to get in that arc truck set up as quickly as possible and get equipped and ready for that, where the power will start to look pretty decent on a 3-link.
This is getting a little bit lost here, not quite sure where to go. It seems like he isn't on the right track, maybe? Not 100% sure. Fortunately, I'm not the one running this race. It's one of those layouts where you have to, unfortunately, check every corner. And yeah, he does see from the entrance, oh, that's a tilter. Right as he sees that dead end, he recognizes that as he was running towards the waypoint, there is a lot to clear up here, which means that he should be going up. Ziz, go up.
Chat has pointed out that Ziz has an Ancestral Protector equipped, and I believe that was one of the bans, so someone might want to just quickly shoot him some words about that.
Or possibly Havoc, maybe, if either one of them doesn't have a D&D. I think they deserve a little bit of spam for breaking the rules here.
Oh, absolutely. I would definitely get in there and 2-count it up a little bit, maybe. So it seems only fair. Goratha taking on Brutus now. Getting whacked a little bit low there, just trying to buy some time for his teammate to enter. Teammate does enter, and the DPSing begins. Which is happening very fast. And Brutus goes down with a rare pair of boots. Could be some nice move speed.
Have we been jebaited? Is that a decoy totem? The window's too small for me.
Oh, it's actually a decoy totem. Oh, never mind. I jebaited by chat, telling me it's an Ancestral Protector. No, that's definitely a decoy totem. Yep, that's definitely a decoy totem. I fell for it. Well done. You got me. Never mind. Ziz is a good boy. Ziz is a good boy. He would never cheat.
Okay, he was getting punished enough by that layout itself.
Yeah, and then, I unethically suggested 2-canning. Good thing he's on D&D. Well, he might not be.
I don't think he was, no. But that being said, Waggle and Goratha on a pretty decent Brutus pace, with, unfortunately, Ziz still struggling to find a way, and Havoc running the trial in the meanwhile. I'm sure they're fully equipped with TPs to have the other player join the zone. And yeah, Waggle and Goratha both. Honestly, all things considered, this was a pretty fast Ranger progression. Goratha got through really fast while Waggle gathered up that XP, knowing that he does not have Onslaught.
And Goratha picks up an Essence of Contempt there, chucks it straight on his short bow. It looked pretty good. Bit of extra bonus damage in there. Not too bad.
That's absolutely helpful. Anything on a Ranger really goes a long way in these early act races. Eventually, you grow to have enough damage to deal with threats in a timely manner. However, for Act 1, Ranger is known to struggle quite a bit.
We are seeing Ziz just about getting to Brutus. Havoc did leave the teleport at the trial exit, so Ziz might go grab that just before he kills Brutus, or maybe just after Brutus, depending on if they remember to leave that TP there. So no one logs on Brutus.
Absolutely so. I think with Ziz's portal up, Havoc will absolutely not forget. Decoy totem is down. The team invite is sent. Havoc coming in. Let's see how fast they can take down this boss.
Havoc comes out swinging with the freeze pulsing action there. Ziz slamming away, and Brutus well decoyed by the decoy totem. The decoy totem is doing some serious work. Going to be, I think, instrumental for them, especially when it comes to Izaro later on. Okay,
we've got some excitement going on Waggle's screen.
Oh,
this does not look like the usual prisoner's gate. I believe he's in a Vol zone.
Yeah, that's a Vol side area right there. The distinctive red swirlies are happening. So, what do you think his plan is here? To maybe get a bit of an edge with an early Vol skill, or just XPing away and just like, I'll go in here for some style points?
Well, the corrupted zones are one level higher than the zone, and they do tend to have a higher density. In the XP races of the past, frequently would you, if you were to progress to docks, you would be running the corrupted zone for its density, blue packs, and the end boss. But now also the end apex, I believe, or stash, not sure what it's called, it does drop a 3 Vol gems, right? What if he drops something super useful here?
Yeah, like upwards of 3 Vol gems, and also potentially some extra gear. There's a lot of loot that actually spills out of that thing at the end now. So we'll see if he gets anything good. It could be some corrupted items, maybe a corrupted 6-link.
Well, he does have to take care of this crazy goat boss that is standing under a wall, but he does not utilize his multi-trap quite well enough. Still taking down the boss very easily here, and let's see.
Look at that loot.
Volt detonated. Volt double strike. Oh no!
Very interesting. Does not take any of them there. Or did he pick up one? Might have just been a regular explosive trap. No, not getting anything super useful out of that. Yeah, none of them being melee. Can't really take advantage of that Val double strike, which would have been insanely strong.
That would have been so powerful. That's absolutely an ability. When you pop the boys, the goon squad is out. They can take down Izaro in an instant. Do remember that they essentially scale by themselves with that extra physical damage as long as their target is bleeding, which in essence is a 4-link, even when you are on a 1-link in an early race such as this one.
I'm a little bit disappointed. I've been waiting to see someone bring out a Val skill in one of these races. It's a little difficult to execute and have the stars align for it, but the dream is there. Maybe one day we'll see some nice Val skill action in one of these races.
Yeah, that really has to be a tilter. With Goratha on your team, as you pick up Vol double strike, get super excited. You're like, oh wait, Goratha's that guy that's like really good with melee, right? Well, he's playing a ranger, so
never mind.
Never mind.
Very solid Mavale kill for Goratha and Waggle there. No worries whatsoever.
I'm a little bit worried for Ziz and Havoc here, as we've discussed previously. Act 1 should be really dominated by them, but in the meanwhile, Goratha and Waggle hitting an under 17-minute Southern Forest, having done all their rendering after Merovo, meeting up, trading appropriately. This is going to be tough. They're going to have to be making up a lot of ground here, and it does feel like Havoc has been running around, farming up for a while. Ziz needs to put a little bit more effort here and just get through these zones faster, maybe sacrificing levels.
Yeah, we've been seeing Ziz really push for some extra currency there, taking on the Artisan box and getting one of those crucial blacksmith whetstones as well as a bunch of armor scraps for scrolls. So they won't be short of portal scrolls, and they will need a lot in this race. I didn't see in the end if the other player went and grabbed the trial, but I think it's safe to assume that that happened. That would have made a lot of sense.
I would imagine so. I think they've got it under control. I don't see any tilting from anybody, so even if they didn't, I think they're over it at this point, and the mindset is the most important part of this, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Team 2 is falling a little bit behind in terms of progression right now, but potentially in a longer race like this, powering up a little bit and being a little bit behind on progression, it's not the worst thing in the world if that Lab and Izaro kill are going to be a lot stronger for you.
Very much so, yeah. And we do have Goratha opting to go to the right side, being the zone easier to level, with Waggle going to the left, having to XP a lot more. We'll see how well they can line their Fidelitas and Weaver kills today, or if they're going to be going for Bandits instead.
If they go for the trial early on in Chamber of Sins too, that throws the timing off potentially, because you probably want to be grabbing that trial when you're in Chamber of Sins and not backtracking for it, because that means potentially going out of your way to get the waypoint. And there's also a fair bit of extra running later on when you want to do it. It's much more optimal to do it as you're running to Fidelitas. So I actually see Goratha dropping the portal on the waypoint there for Waggle to get. So maybe they're going to be breaking up the right-hand side a little bit, possibly?
Yeah, I think they have to, with Goratha having to run so many zones since 1, since 2, Crossroads, Fell Shrine, Broken Bridge, all these zones, and Waggle having to only run Riverways, Weaver, and a little bit of Western Forest. They absolutely have to split it up here. And yeah, we can see that Waggle is running towards town and getting that Crossroads waypoint, maybe immediately running to Broken Bridge. We're gonna have to see here. No, he just TP's out. All right, taking it safe. Broken Bridge being a level, I believe, 15 or 16 zone, which is either 1 or 2 levels lower than Western Forest, which would allow him to XP a little bit less in that Riverways. But it's a zone that's very good for experience either way, so I'm sure he's not missing out on anything right now. Although his clear speed is a little bit slow.
Havoc's
not gonna lie,
on,
it's a little slow.
Havoc's taking on Mervale now, gets all the way down to second form, and then Ziz took the opportunity to do a whole bunch of vendoring and organizing his gear. Since he's been running, he's not really had any time to do that, so now has optimized everything and popped in for the Mervale kill, which went down very handily, and looked pretty smooth for him. It was good for Ziz to get that time there to organize and sort his gear out. Looks like they're swapping the Quicksilvers over now, so Havoc's picking up both Quicksilvers. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think this might have been a little bit of a flawed strategy from them, despite Havoc having to play around with that freeze balls. Quite frankly, the Flame Dash would have given him enough mobility, I think, to allow him to burst through caverns. But at this point, I'm not sure if it's that worth in comparison. I mean, Ziz is doing most of the running, and Havoc can Flame Dash every now and then, and not being able to fully utilize the Quicksilvers.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like if Ziz had Leap Slam, then trading off the Quicksilvers would make a lot of sense. I'm not sure why he did here, but it must be their actual plan in terms of where they're going. Havoc's going to be able to make better use of those Quicksilvers. I wouldn't have been surprised in this case if they just took 1 Quicksilver each from here on out.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, no. Goratha and Waggle have already done the trial, with Goratha being the one to run it, and they are now together running to Fidelitas. Not trying to split up too much. They know that they have to get a little bit higher level than the usual 14 or 15 that you will be seeing people getting when killing Vol. They have to keep up with their levels to at least be level 21 for Izaro for that safer kill. So I think running together is a good idea, as it's very difficult to gather up enough XP to keep up with the other person anyway.
It's still interesting to see. There's a lot of running that needs to be done in Act 2. And I feel like you could sneak a little bit of running in somewhere else there, but I guess, yeah, like you said, wanting to share that XP. Either way, we've got double HP Fidelitas here, 2-player HP Fidelitas.
Right. That's a little bit tricky, but honestly, Goratha seems to be
doing a lot of
damage here, yeah. With Fidelitas running over Waggle's multi-trap, maybe that's the strategy, honestly. Trying to get Goratha, that's the strategy for Izaro, the same way they treated Fidelitas just now, with Waggle kiting around, using that multi-trap, explosive trap to deal as much damage to Izaro as possible, and Goratha simply standing in the back, taking care of the additional features of Izaro and just nailing away with the Rain of Arrows.
Having a look at Goratha's gear, he does have a short bow at the moment with physical and cold damage, an amulet with some physical damage, an iron ring, and that black heart ring, which does have a little bit of extra chaos damage on it. Physical scaling, and a nice amount of life, which is good. And also picking up some fire damage on his damage quiver. So as far as a ranger is concerned, he's looking very good. The only thing he's missing is potentially some damage gloves.
Yeah, that's definitely more damage than I was anticipating out of a... not the strongest setup in terms of gear. I mean, his general gear is pretty good, but his bow doesn't seem that powerful. At this point, he is, I would believe, either level 13 or 14. So running around with a level 5 short bow definitely puts you a little bit behind. Focusing on that gear for a ranger can be very important. But that being said, Havoc is doing some long vendoring. He's been there for a while, and it doesn't seem like he's getting multi-trap either. Trying to get his +1, finally picking up the Arc, and we'll see how well Arc can perform here. He will have access to Onslaught over the multi-trap Arc setup.
For the Onslaught Arc instead. Onslaught Arc and added lightning damage. Very interesting to be going that instead of the trap setup, but I guess the Onslaught is the real kicker there instead of running the trap.
I would imagine so. I mean, he still has the possibility, by the time they're around Izaro, they should have enough transmutes to simply replace the gems, maybe with a multi-trap or just a regular trap for the Arc, and simply dish out more damage over the not necessarily needed Onslaught.
Waggle hitting up Weaver now is using that multi-trap explosive trap, and he's going to be getting that ready while Goratha's running the trial, so probably he's going to be dancing around Weaver while Goratha finishes off that trial, and then they'll be able to share both the boss progression and the trial progression here.
Wow, that was a very fast Felshrine and Crypt from Goratha. Really amazing read from him.
Nicely timed.
Getting to that trial immediately.
I guess that run together earlier let him really sync up this timing rather than what we usually see, which is Chamber of Sins, Fetalitis, and Weaver being timed up.
Absolutely so. Well,
almost missing the spike.
Yeah, almost missing the spike, and Ziz struggling a little bit with finishing up that trial. A lot of Sparkers in that room, very sketchy situation, but he gets out of it flawlessly, dropping down that TP for Havoc to be picking up the trial in Act 2.
So it looks like Havoc and Ziz are about one step behind right now, because they need to be getting started on their Weaver and second trial over at Chamber of Sins. Though that is certainly something they can do later on, but at this point, without having Leap Slam, it's probably just fine to do it now when you have a better XP range for the zones, rather than coming back and doing it later.
Right, I do think so as well. It is very interesting because they are splitting up here, so maybe possibly something that could save them some time over Goratha and Waggle. As you've pointed out earlier, they're taking the little bit riskier, more expensive strategy, but hey, as long as it pays off and they sync everything up correctly, this should be it. And it does seem like they're on a pretty good pace. Unfortunately, Havoc hitting an L run here. Definitely something that they didn't account for. Hopefully, he's going to be able to get through this zone as fast as possible.
Arcing down that shrine, not too badly. There was a couple rare spiders on there, but the arc seems to be working reasonably well.
Arc is generally pretty good. The biggest struggle with Arc definitely still is single target, because I don't believe you get an additional chain by the time you're at Izaro, but I'm not exactly sure. But when I did my race practice with Arc, it was performing really well, except a tricky single target. But hopefully he's going to have enough. And he does have a +1, so even on this Essence mob, Havoc here is dealing a lot of damage.
That's pretty good damage there, actually.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised even. Having done this myself, I'm still surprised. It's looking
not too
good.
bad, and he does have that teammate to help out with the single target damage as well. Ziz could be potentially a bit more focused on that.
Very much so.
Another shrine for Havoc. Just chaining the Ice Nova shrine into a massive shrine this time around.
Yeah, they have been splitting up quite a bit more, so their progression is faster. Therefore, they're getting a less time to get that XP, and they have to be sure to be at least level 16 by the time they're at Northern Forest, so that at least one of the players can continue to XP up properly.
Havoc's picking up the crit nodes. Is that worth it in a short race like this?
I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest. With Shadow, you don't really have that much scaling that you can go off of. Outside of those cast speed nodes and the initial elemental nodes, you reach cold-hearted, and what do you do next? Do you pick up more life, or do you have to travel to the Witch? So I think overall, at this point, it's not a bad idea, but it might hurt them in the end if they are planning to progress outside of the initial Shadow skill tree. But they did line everything up pretty well, with Ziz picking up the broken waypoint, and now Havoc finally picking up the Baleful Gem.
Yeah, that lined up fairly nicely for them, with Havoc getting a fair bit of extra time to get some XP off those shrines, so that was kind of perfect that he had a couple shrines in the zone while Ziz was doing his running.
Yep, absolutely so. And at this point, they're pretty set up with... They're catching up, honestly. Quite frankly, Ziz reaching Kraten very shortly, with Havoc running over to... Oh, let's see if they have this up correctly, or whether or not Ziz is going to have to wait all the way for Havoc to get over there.
Is Goratha just farming now? Because I noticed they both ran together to tag the roots, and now Waggle is going to be progressing, and it looks like Goratha went back to Chamber of Sins to farm from the looks of things. So just XP.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. In a race such as this one, frequently with just the amount of time you spend progressing, you're just not going to have enough time to get enough experience. So maybe he's even low enough level to be he's only hitting level 15 here. So that's very important that he will be level 16 by the time Waggle is TPing him into the Northern Forest. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to get experience here.
Yeah, he's going to need to try and push one extra level by the time Waggle gets to Northern, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge, so he might be a little bit behind. He does log out there. Looks like he's getting ready to just reset the zone straight up.
Also, a difference in strategy here. Havoc and Ziz, I believe, have not taken care of Alira yet, which means that they will be helping her, while Goratha and Waggle have helped Oak, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like helping Oak is the choice to make for an Izaro fight. You don't really need to go on and kill Piety and Dominus, so what is the
some might
resistance for?
Some might argue that the scariest part of an under-leveled, under-geared, and most importantly, under-HP, the Izaro kill is the bullets that the Goddess releases on top of him, the barrage, that does deal half fire damage, so maybe they're accounting for that. They're assuming that as long as they stay away from Izaro and don't get hit by any of his physical attacks, they have to make sure that they won't also die to the barrage of the Goddess.
That is true, and if they've scoped out the lab layout for today, which I've not yet had a chance to look at actually, there could be a little bit of bonus elemental damage there, and Gorathal's typing, oh no, and he says Waggle's offline. Uh-oh, yeah, I do see Waggle's stream is currently loading. Ooh, that's not good.
That's never good. But I mean,
and
they still have a pretty fair advantage as long as
can
Waggle's internet does come back.
Yeah, if he's only down for a minute, then he might be okay.
Yeah, Goratha is level 16, and I mean, at this point, basically it's evened out due to the unfortunate disconnect. I mean, Goratha's got a pretty good progression, as maybe he can still keep up as a solo player.
He would have to go do the running himself now,
Brain of
in
Arrows,
hopes that he can bring Waggle back in.
Vault Burning Arrow for Goratha.
Burning Arrow.
Okay, well,
also a nice quiver.
Yeah, maybe if he's just by himself here, he can possibly still do it. It's very unfortunate. We can never predict this. Having been on the receiving end of a bad ISP, I can tell you guys there's nothing more frustrating, especially if you're performing well in a race.
Looks like Waggle is back. I refreshed the stream. His power went out briefly, apparently, which I think that happened to him yesterday as well.
Well, that...
But it does look like he is back and running now, so not too much time lost there.
Well, we might see a change in strategy. They might be shifting the runner for Act 3 then. Ooh, I do believe Goratha's got a pretty powerful setup, and they're joining up now with Goratha having more than enough XP. Goratha might even be the runner for Vol at this point. I would personally make that choice, absolutely.
Yeah, it would be good because of like what happened to swap the running, I think, and have Waggle, have Goratha progress and have Waggle catch up a little bit on XP now.
Yep, I do think so as well. Waggle does a lot of damage, but does he quite have enough mobility compared to that Blink Hour and Onslaught setup from Goratha? We're just going to have to see.
There's a unique dual strongbox. What is he gonna do it? There's a ghost next to it too.
He's doing it. Oh he's
yeah,
doing it.
Here we go. This could be very interesting.
Okay.
We are seeing it look like a ghosted exile there. 3 additional rogue exiles. That is a lot of gear. Wow. 3 uniques. 2 of them are jewels. 1 is an amulet from looks of things. And tons of rare jewelry. These guys are loaded right now. That loot. That loot, man. That was well worth it.
Damn. Yeah, that was absolutely worth it. I think they're fully decked out now. This might even impact their level that they were planning to hit for that Izaro fight. I mean, Shadow can absolutely do the fight pretty early on, but bow users do need that higher level weapon. But with this sort of gear and possible crafting in the future, whew, it should be pretty good. And they did drop a tier of something that I believe is 2% regen.
Purity, yeah. Just having a full set of like rare jewelry each makes a big deal because that's a lot of extra potential resistances, maybe a fair bit of extra damage as well for Goratha. That's gonna make a big difference for sure. Like trying to have a look at all the gear they've got now.
I'm not sure if they didn't drop also a coated. Yeah, they did drop a coated shrapnel, but I don't think they're gonna have a way to utilize it, and possibly a burning arrow jewel. I think so.
I don't know if they'd be taking time to mess around with the jewels. They might have just picked them up to vendor potentially. But yeah, swapping in all that rare jewelry. These are blinged out boys right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting what sort of strategy they're going to go for, as Waggle will not be able to be picking up Mind Over Matter or anything like that. And realistically, he can only utilize heralds that aren't that great when it comes to his mana. So equipping that tier of purity and turning on the level 10 purity of elements that it grants, while also having a chance to avoid elemental elements, some attribute points, and 20 to 40 possible maximum life. That's a pretty good amulet for them.
Wow. They're going to have access to unlimited resistances then.
Yeah, I do think so as well. Yeah, with those 3 exiles dropping a lot of gear, for sure.
Oh yeah, that was pretty spicy. Havoc and Ziz successfully completing their bandits. I say successfully because I was watching their practice earlier today, and they did PK each other at the bandits.
The classic. Who started? The best part about it is that typically a PK involves one person turning against the other. I would imagine both of them turned against each other in this one. They were planning it.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what that is, if players make separate choices of the bandits, so one player says help and one player says kill, it actually turns the players hostile to each other, and you can deal damage to each other. And if you don't catch that in time, you can, well, if you like got a 10 stack of Blade Vortex, which is what I saw, you can kill the other player pretty much instantly. So it can be quite hilarious, and they're lucky that it happened in practice and not in the actual race.
Zai calling us out. Apparently, it's Shaper's Seed, which is also pretty useful. It's got a lot of mana regeneration and also 2% of life regenerated per second, with an additional nearby allies gain 2% of life regeneration per second too. So one of these players will be looking at least 4% additional regeneration, which is not to be undervalued in an extended Izaro fight.
Yeah, that certainly, I think, actually makes quite a difference in the Izaro fight. There's a lot of times when you're kind of starting to do circles around Izaro, you're out of flask, things looking pretty sketch. Just having a nice way of topping up will be nice. Certainly not going to hurt.
I absolutely think so, yeah.
Tons of shrines this race. Everyone's just seeing so many shrines.
Yeah, those shrines, the how do you say it? Dead and Doom's signature signature card. I'm not sure. But yeah, these players are fully utilizing the shrines, and it's very useful in this race in particular because, like we keep mentioning, it's very difficult to balance your progression and the progression of the other player in your team while also keeping up on levels for everybody. So they've been doing a great job, and the shrines are absolutely helping.
Yeah, well, and we've definitely seen players swapping back and forth in terms of who's being the runner, and I think that is like mostly to balance out the XP, right?
Absolutely so. Yeah, if they split everything up correctly. And a big part of it is maybe even getting to a point where one of the players has a minimum amount of XP so that he can continue to XP up in Act 3 while the other player has a maybe even overwhelming amount of XP so that he can just focus on running as much as possible in Act 3 where you don't necessarily have to split up nearly as much outside of the possible trials that your supporting player needs to do for you.
We are seeing Ziz go ham on Northern Forest right now. He's just hit level 18. And the players on the left, Goratha and Waggle, taking down Val very quickly. Lots of damage for them there with all that rare jewelry they've picked up. And it does look like that Goratha has got a decent bow now as well. Huge damage. Huge damage. Nice physical damage with a huge 14 to 28 fire damage on his recurve bow. Pretty high flight rolls.
This is pretty tough, honestly, because you do have to keep in mind that when Waggle logged back in from his slight electricity outage, Havoc was a full zone ahead, and now they're about a minute behind. So Goratha and Waggle have made up a lot of time here. Switching that runner, focusing on Goratha, doing most of the work, and it's really paid off.
All these kind of slight advantages compounding for them there, even with that little bit of downtime. But I can't help but feel like the entire race is going to come down to that Labyrinth run. I feel like that's a pretty big make or break. Certainly, if you guys don't know, a death in the Labyrinth means that you have to restart the Labyrinth from the beginning. So we've got that 1 minute penalty for deaths, but far worse is having to potentially rerun most or if not all of the Labyrinth. Just that's a race ender potentially if the other team gets through cleanly. And
wow,
not too far
killing
behind.
Another exile.
Another exile, wow. Someone should keep a kill counter of their exiles this race. Also a quiver upgrade potentially there for Goratha. Decent damage for the Val kill from Havoc and Ziz, going down pretty nicely. Arc not looking too bad.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive, honestly. The only biggest problem is that Ground Slam on its base damage doesn't deal a whole lot, but the closer you are, the more of a multiplier it gets. So that's going to be the biggest thing on a fight such as Vol. Ziz can really utilize his single target with Ground Slam, but on an Izaro fight, you really don't want to be getting too close.
Yeah. It's a little bit scarier in the Izaro encounter.
Up. Did Waggle just kill an exile? No way. I think he killed an exile. There is way too much loot there unless his filter is really crazy. What is going on?
Maybe +1 to the exile counter there. There's a lot of it has been a lot of exile killing. Goratha hitting the massive dead end for Perpetus there, running a full ring around the Perpetus area. Both players in the trying to search for the exits here right now, probably seeing who can get there first maybe.
Yeah, I do think so.
Nah, Waggle is actually just farming the City of San. From the looks of things.
Yeah. That's the focus. Absolutely. Goratha finding the sewer exit. He goes, Waggle, drop me a TP on my TP. Waggle does so. This is so that they don't have to run sewers again. So that Goratha can now TP in Waggle, and Waggle has the open sewers waypoint. And meanwhile, he has to wait around for a little bit, you know, fix up his gear, move everything around, and he's going to be nice and ready for probably a 2-man sewer progression.
Apparently, chat. I don't know if I'm being debated again here, but chat is saying that Waggle did allocate a jewel socket. So I don't know what that was for exactly.
Waggle allocated a jewel socket?
Apparently. I don't know if I'm being debated by chat again here.
Well, they did pick up a coated shrapnel, no? I believe so. Which...
Wow, yeah. That coated
is
shrapnel.
physical damage.
Yeah, added 3 to 10 physical, maybe 5 to 15 added physical damage on that, as well as a little bit of
It's
poison.
3 to 15 top end. Also, traps and mines have a 25% chance to poison on hit, which is not to be neglected. I mean, 50% of the explosive traps damage is converted to fire, but that remaining 50% with those overlapping traps might be a lot of single target damage here.
Yeah, so that those jewel drops from that unique strongbox actually potentially making a pretty big difference here, because that is a lot of extra flat damage.
Yeah, that absolutely makes a big difference in comparison. Let's see how much a explosive trap would deal on Waggle's current level. I believe they're going to be landing around level 20, probably not hitting level 24, which would be a base damage of 21 to 31 and a 50% damage effectiveness here. So realistically, this coated shrapnel makes up for about at least 25 to 30% of damage.
Yeah, it's like pretty much another support gem right there from a jewel socket. So
Yep.
very cool to see.
Yeah,
Taking full advantage of that RNG on the strongbox there.
Yeah, and adjusting their strategy too to fit their drops like this. This is really the experience showing here for Goratha and Waggle, just thinking on the fly, making adjustments, and really benefiting fully from whatever they're finding. That being said, they're finding a rare discharger. Okay, they get away.
There's two of them. It's really interesting to see. Most of these team races, we see the players barely ever running together, but Goratha and Waggle have been holding hands through a lot of this race, which is really adorable to see.
Yeah, when it comes to sewers, you really kind of just want to stick together just so you have a better idea of where the busts are. So that's one of the more predictable zones. A big part of it too is that one of the players doesn't have to TP the other player for the sewer's waypoint,
Yeah.
just in case they do have some sort of runner swap planned. They don't have to kill Piety, but they do still have to pick up the trial in Hedge Maze. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, and that's probably going to be the player who has the higher level, as that zone can be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, there's a few Devourers in there and a few poison darts to slow you down while the Devourers chase you. And the exploding Quill Beasts as well. Can be a little scary.
Absolutely so. But realistically, Havok's not that far behind, keeping up his onslaught. I do wonder if Goratha currently isn't getting a little bit frustrated with Waggle, going, Waggle, where's your onslaught? You're slowing me down, dog. But Waggle friendly trying to keep up here.
They can't romantically have a stroll holding hands if he's that far behind.
No, absolutely not. Not in a race such as this one, with so much prestige on the line. Goratha decides to split. He's like, no, I'm not having any of this anymore. I'm going to go do the trial. You do whatever you want, but preferably go to Battlefronts and get us that Solaris waypoint.
Preferably do the correct things that we need to advance.
Yes. Absolutely so. That would be the correct choice. We'll see if Goratha has faith in Waggle and his explosive trap strategies.
Ziz just whirling through sewers, opting to not do it together with Havok. Havok is taking the time instead to XP Insan a little bit. And Ziz goes a little bit low as he's whirling through sewers, but managed to stay on top of things there. So I guess he's planning on just dropping a portal for Havok later on.
Yeah, but they are communicating extremely well. You have to keep in mind that Havok was the one initially clearing sewers, and suddenly Ziz is the one progressing. So I do believe that as soon as Havok has reached the waypoint, he teleported Zizaran in. He's like, dude, I can't keep up. This is not fast enough. Equip those whirling blades and get this shit done, because I need experience. And that's exactly what they're doing, with Ziz primarily skipping all the mobs and just trying to get as much done as possible. Possibly TPing Havok in at Battlefront so that they can split run both Solaris and the dogs. Be seeing if they go for the riskier strategy.
Looks like he dropped, Ziz dropped Havok a portal to go do the trial in the little side area there.
Okay, we'll be seeing if Havok is high enough level. I do believe that he would be pretty low level, with maybe a maximum of level 20, possibly level 21, entering this now level 27 zone. Probably going to be looking to get through here as fast as possible without these freeze pulse mobs stopping him in his tracks. And yeah, that's exactly what Goratha and Waggle are doing. They hit the battlefront waypoint yet again. He's like, okay, get in here and let's split up again because I've had enough of you. You never wash the dishes. I'm moving on.
Ah, yes, the infighting, the bickering. Uh-oh.
Very much so. I think one player drives the other to do even better in life, and that's the right way to go about things here.
Goratha and Waggle splitting up to do Docs and Solaris makes a lot of sense. You don't want to be running those together, getting those done both at the same time. And I imagine the Solaris takes a little bit longer, so Waggle might kill a bit more here in Docs.
Ooh, this dropping low. But he makes it through. He does have that bismuth flask that he picked up earlier, which definitely has been helping him against those lightning mobs. And now he's just trying to get to the waypoint. But he did leave 1 million mobs at his portal. We'll see. Havoc.
That's a loaded portal right there. Just testing his teammate.
Okay. No, all right. Havoc's got it under control. He was anticipating his teammate to debate him a little bit here. It does seem like this has happened before. So he came in fully prepared. Not even bursting into a smile. Nothing. Stone-faced Havoc moving through.
He's like, I expected this.
Going for Ducks. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I knew it. You've done this before.
Ziz is going to be whirling up to Solaris now, opting to skip an exile that was there. He's like, nah, I just got to keep going. Although he does stop to kill a bit of a pack there. Ziz's damage is not looking too good.
Yeah, they're looking a little bit behind. And at this point, Ziz is under-leveled. He only has about 300 HP from what I'm seeing, as compared to Havoc, who has 450, Goratha almost 500, and Waggle almost 500 also. So he is about 1/3 less tanky than any of these other players, while also having to get the closest out of anybody to fully utilize his ground slam damage.
That's really scary. Ziz is level 19 right now compared to 21 for Havoc, and Goratha is at level 23. Not sure what level Waggle is. So Ziz, falling a lot behind in XP through this running. They were balancing their XP really nicely earlier on, but it's fallen off a bit now.
You said that Goratha is level 23?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Goratha's probably looking to hit that level 24, equip the Bone Bow with all that currency that they've gathered up from all of those exiles. Hopefully that's going to be able to work out for them. Obviously, level 24 is also additional new flask, which definitely come in handy in the Izaro fight, especially if you count the mana flask that has 4 uses, as opposite to the 3 uses of the previous flasks. Ooh, this might be a big one here. It's going to be really tricky, because despite being behind on progression, Havoc and Ziz hopefully had something going for them in terms of experience, but they're also behind almost 3 levels.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, and that's going to make a big difference. Like I said, that 330 HP for Ziz is looking very concerning. That's definitely definitely in a bit of a rough way for Izaro, having to get close to that ground slam. It's going to be a little scary. We'll see if we can't get some more XP in gear before then.
Well, preferably, I thought the players are going to be going for at least about level 21 for Ziz so that he can equip his broad axe. But with this sort of damage, he's still on a boarding axe. He definitely needs an upgrade. There is a broad axe in his inventory, so he was planning to get something done here, but this might be just too little too late. Maybe with Havoc feeling a little bit more confident with his levels, not having that dependency on weapons, will now do the progression for the sewers and get into Hedge Maze, while Ziz goes back to Sarn and just tries to hit level 21 as fast as possible.
And just seeing Goratha and Waggle's damage that they've had, and how strong they've looked when running together, they're going to be looking very solid for Izaro, I think, comparatively speaking. Though, that said, even like a well-equipped team at this level trying to fight Izaro is a little bit scary still.
Yep, Goratha finishing up the last trials, and I believe they're going to be entering lab here. They did get everything done. This might be it.
Yeah,
they're
I
going
think
to be
we'll
getting into lab.
Some last-minute preparations here. Just sorting things out very briefly, and then I don't know, just heading straight in even.
Yep. They're going for it, and again, Ziz a level and a half behind where his preferred level, with Havoc just now entering the Imperial Gardens. Ziz hopefully has enough time to get level 21. It's looking pretty good on the timing, but will it be enough to catch up to Goratha and Waggle? Maybe they're going to be taking the safe road out and just trying to get shrines. Hopefully Ziz and Havoc have done enough research for their lab to just have a smoother progression. Otherwise, it's looking pretty grim for them here. They might be knocked out.
Yeah, unless something goes horrendously wrong for Goratha and Waggle, they are looking at a very strong position here to be moving on to the finals. We shall see, though. Goratha taking some time to compare his tooltip DPS between his bows. They're opting to keep his old bow. He's like, it is actually a little bit stronger.
Wow, that's quite impressive, to be honest. He does keep that bow. And realistically, a lot of things can go wrong. A lot of players might be looking at this and it's like, oh, it's just lab. They're doing it 10 levels under-leveled with 500 HP. In any case, Izaro can still definitely create a big threat, and the barrage of fire damage can do a lot too. I'm not sure if we can see the resistances of both Waggle and Goratha, but I can bet you that it's not a whole lot.
I think they're pretty high with the. I think they're pretty high with the jewelry that I'm seeing here, and some decent rares as well. Yeah, not too bad. I think they're not too bad.
Well, the biggest thing that Havoc and Ziz have going on for them here is just overall the less bruteful, more strategical approach for Izaro. That being said, Izaro's taking a lot of damage for Goratha and Waggle here.
Oh yeah,
he's dying really fast.
Nice.
That is extremely impressive.
Goes down about halfway. Not too bad, so able to resist the fire damage there reasonably so, though it was not a full barrage of fireballs. We are seeing very, very nice damage from these two. I would like to point out this is Sword Izaro, the scariest of the Izaros, and they're just trying to also balance, having two players to balance those bearers, the bearer statues there. They want to keep those tagged throughout the fight, and looks like they do successfully get down the first phase with all of the statues tagged, so we shouldn't be seeing any bearers for them in the second and final phases. That's very good. Perfect. That's exactly what they wanted.
That went extremely well. Honestly, I'm a little bit shocked about their damage. It does seem like they've prepared quite a bit here. That being said, the other players are doing... yeah, Havoc and Ziz are doing the appropriate preparation to have a smooth Izaro fight, with Ziz still sitting only on 340 HP, but like I mentioned before... Uh-oh. Did they get a dark shrine?
They just get a dark shrine quick. Oh my god.
Wow.
Wow.
I was going to say, look at how planned out. Havoc and Ziz have everything.
Wow.
They have a blind with Orb of Storm so that they can keep Izaro missing them all the time. Ziz has got a decoy totem. They can control the fight perfectly. They show the damage so that Ziz is never in danger. Instead, Havoc can deliver the pain to Izaro. No, dude. Why do all of that when instead you can just get an acceleration stride forehead? Like, come on. This is just unfair.
Oh, man. That is brutal. Oh, my god. Permanent acceleration shrine from here on out for Waggle and Goratha, as long as they don't make a mistake and have one of them die. Waggle getting stuck, the acceleration shrine not helping him get away from those skeletons.
Yeah, we'll be seeing here.
Oof.
It's not as much of a boost for Waggle, although it is an animation boost, but he does have quite a bit more mobility.
Yeah, it's a big deal for Goratha, though, that one.
Yeah.
Players are going to have a much easier time in the second phase, which is a little bit of a trickier one, because they have to keep the damage on top of these statues to stop them from powering up. Goratha eating a wind slash there, going down below 1/3 HP, but still surviving, having a decent 500 health. Ziz and Havoc in their first phase right now. We'll see how Ziz is low health. He just narrowly dodges a wind slash right there. That probably would one-shot him. Waggle going very low. Very second phase, but they get it down. Nicely done. Havoc and Ziz still going with their first phase. Doing a decent amount of damage, but they have to be much more careful, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, they do have that decoy totem, but their play is a lot more tactical. Honestly, Waggle and Goratha showing a little bit, maybe too much confidence here in this acceleration shrine, almost dying each one of them in that fight. And do remember that they're going to have to reset everything, so they've got a pretty good setup for the last phase, but if they keep this confidence up, it's a slow and insidious killer. It might just bite them in the end.
Waggle goes a bit of the wrong way through the trial there from the looks of things, but manages to catch back up.
That's absolutely fine.
They are splitting up a little bit to search from the looks of things.
Yeah, it's an understandable strategy. I think they are trying to possibly pick up some more Dark Shrines. It does seem like both teams are coming prepared into this fight.
Havoc is going very low there, but they do get down their first phase. Not
Honestly,
without a few
huge
sketchy
props to
moments.
Ziz over here because all of these players are prepared to essentially, even if they do get hit, they're not going to be getting one shot. But if Ziz
Oh
is a
yeah,
wind slash or so, he
he's
is
done.
dead.
He's
With that
done.
fortify, he might make it, but you have to keep up the vigilant strike, which already is quite difficult, while trying to dish out as much damage as possible. It's gonna be rough. You have to be betting on the entropy and blind from Havoc.
Yeah, and really hoping for a lucky evade if a wind slash does happen to connect.
Yep.
Definitely wanting that. That Goratha and Waggle pace with the acceleration shrine, though, is going to be a little difficult to beat. Looks like they'll be moving to their final phase very soon, and the final phase being pretty much the easiest here in normal lab because, well, they succeeded very handily on the first two phases, so and there's no activated traps for them, so barring some misplay, they're going to be both alright. And with the HP, they're both rocking over 500. They're not looking in one-shot territory. It'll take like a wind slash and some fireballs to take them down. So I think they're pretty good to secure a kill here. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Havoc and Ziz entering the second phase. Ziz not even healing up. He's like, I've got 200 HP. But he does finally click his potion.
Goratha and Waggle just murdering Izaro. And he's just about done. And Izaro goes down. Huge success, even massive speed, sprinting over to the Altar of Ascendancy, connecting with about a 58, 53 it looked like, with the diamond stop there. Very nicely done to Goratha and Waggle. Definitely some easy claps in chat. Nicely done. Huge, huge run from them. And just finishing things off with an acceleration shrine, just for a good measure. Totally unnecessary, possibly, but just for good measure.
Well, we do still have a really exciting fight from Havoc and Ziz going on here.
Some bearers are active. I would just like to point out that's going to make things a little bit more interesting from here on out. Players have not been able to keep on top of those statues, and looks like 2 of them have become active now. They're like, okay, let's at least stop this from becoming 3. We'll try and keep this one late here. I'm surprised with Havoc's arc that he's not having a bit of an easier time keeping the statues down. But
yeah, that's definitely a bit tricky.
Are we going to see 3 statues here? They're not near the statue. The statue's getting high. Oh, it's 3 statues. They're getting 3 sets of elemental bearers now.
And Ziz is out of potions too.
Oh, Ziz is very low too. He has no regen. Oh, he's healing up a little bit.
Just relax.
Just trying to heal some Enduring Cry regen there. He's using his Enduring Cry regen to top back up. Finally gets a Flask charge.
Let Havoc take care of business, alright?
Oh, Ziz goes down to some fireballs combined with one of those bearers. Gets it done. Izaro racking up his first kill of the day. Oof. Brutal.
Quite unfortunate here.
But, I have a question.
It did happen.
Do both players need to make it through the lab? Or just one?
Well, one's definitely not making it, the other one isn't either.
Never mind. Havoc having a good smile there is like, uh-oh, I think we might be done.
Yeah, that was tough, man. Zizaran has a very hard time here with a 350 HP, 342 HP. They had the right strategy. He does have the Vigilant Strike. He does have that Enduring Cry. However, or excuse me, Havoc actually is the one with the Enduring Cry, but being that under leveled, I believe he's level 19 or maybe 20 at this point. Did he hit 20 or 21? I'm not 100% sure, but either way, he's like at least 12 levels under leveled with like at least way too little HP. So a lot hanging on him. Unfortunately, they weren't quite able to pull through.
Yeah, it's it's incredibly tough to pull off these low-level Val kills, and if you we saw Goratha and Waggle just getting huge amounts of gear there from lots of exiles and unique strong boxes and all that stuff as well to even at the low levels keep up a decent HP pool for the Izaro kill. And 500 is kind of what you're looking for, I think, for that safety net, which Havoc has managed to achieve, but Ziz nowhere near, man. 160 HP under that.
Yeah, I think they didn't quite plan far ahead. I mean, this can technically take a slash. I think he did get hit, as Chat pointed out earlier, but it was very close. Apparently, he only had about 20 HP left. Oh,
Oh no! No, Ziz! Just really feeling the pain of not being able to make a single mistake here in these Izaro kills. We wanna see them make it through. I think they can do it with some determination, some grit, some power of will, and probably a bit of sweat. I think they can make it through.
yeah, I think Ziz is trying just to do too much in this fight over here. I think he should primarily leave it up to Havoc and just focus on supporting the fight overall, but instead he's trying to get in close. But this is something that could have been prevented with Sunder, allowing him to stick a little bit further away from Izaro and keeping it maybe slightly safer.
I wonder if his strategy of using that Enduring Cry is actually hurting him here. If he was tankier, the Enduring Cry plus Vigilant Strike would be very strong. I mean, he could have maybe 450 HP and be quite safe with Endurance Charges and Vigilant Strike, but with that much HP, maybe that's not the strategy to be going for. Give Havoc the Enduring Cry, let him take Izaro's attention with the with the taunt there.
Yeah, it's really interesting because overall, I'll be honest, I think Ziz and Havoc went in with the better strategy. They have the blind from the Orb of Storms. They have really good mobility with both players utilizing Flame Dash and Whirling Blades. They've got the Vigilant Strike. They can always use the Enduring Cry to maybe draw some attention to the other player and sustain those Endurance charges. Oh, Ziz in a bit of trouble here.
Having trouble.
And they've got that decoy. On top of everything, they've got the decoy, which typically trivializes the Izaro fight, but 342 HP from Ziz.
That's the weak link in the chain, right?
Yeah, that's definitely the weak link here.
Yeah, they have the full tool set of everything you want to take into an Izaro fight, but just not quite working out for them here. Nonetheless, we are going to see another attempt at the Izaro kill here, which I'm very much looking forward to. Izaro so far securing 3 kills for today. I'm going to be keeping a counter of that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, Havoc displaying a little bit of frustration possibly with Ziz here. He's doing the equivalent of tapping his foot by spinning around his gems while waiting for Ziz, who only has 1 potion charge. Meaning that he's probably been pushed into doing this fight so early, but all he needs to do is not get hit. There's a 50-50%, there's a 50-50 chance that he will survive this fight. Just needs to not get hit.
Whether he does or not.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, not getting hit, as always, the classic strategy. Ziz, unfortunately getting hit, but this time... Oh, man! Yep. Going so low to the fireballs in combination with already being really low. I'm actually really impressed that he survived that one there.
Yep, that was some swift reactions from Ziz. Can they really do this in such a odd fashion? I mean, this requires dropping low again with no potions. Oh, also, and Havoc is the one to drop first. No, showing his frustration on camera, doing the good old fail fish. I mean, he first it seemed like he was waiting impatiently for Ziz, but in the end, Ziz can call him out, going, "Hey, buddy, you were the one who died first." What is
Go for it again, guys. They have plenty of time to have another attempt here. I want to see them. I want to see them put their all into this one here, taking some opportunity here to craft a little bit more gear. Looks like Ziz is going to level.
Waggle's going all out on the bottom left screen. Really marveling. Listen, I understand. You guys are through. Waggle, Goratha, but this, honestly, compared to Ventura and Dead and Doom, I don't know how particularly impressive of a run this has been. A 58 minute and 55-second Izaro kill is what a lot of players have performed solo in the previous races, despite the great RNG that Waggle and Goratha have had. They did have that little bit of an outage, but I think if they want to really make it through in that final and take it all the way home, they're going to need to put in a little bit more effort than just finding an acceleration shrine in these Izaro fights.
Havoc and Ziz do have another 15 minutes to try and finish the race if they want. So we're going to give them every opportunity to do so. Everybody needs to, I think, have that full opportunity to try and finally secure victory. Because I think that's important in its own way.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. So we do have appropriate about 25 more minutes before the next pick and ban phase. So Ziz and Havoc have a lot of time here to keep chipping away at Izaro, and hopefully very soon, as Ziz gathers up a little bit more HP, they should have a clean kill.
Yeah, this is an incredibly challenging race, so plenty of time has been allocated for teams to potentially use if needed. So we'll see. We'll see if they can fight, if they can secure a victory at the end here. They are taking a bit of an opportunity to power back up, which arguably might have been needed right from the very outset. But they were pushed for time. They were trying to get in lab, and they were only just behind Goratha and Waggle, so they were keeping up, but just weren't quite ready for that Izaro fight.
Very much so. It isn't very interesting, honestly, how in the end this turns out. Goratha and Waggle again showing how their racing experience and just playing together, having those proper rotation works out well. While I would say overall, despite the solid team strategy, Havoc and Ziz having a more I worry about myself and you worry about yourself strategy, and we're just gonna get through. And yeah, unfortunately, it didn't quite work out, as it wasn't fully planned out.
Here we go.
Possibly.
Going for their next attempt. They took a bit of time just to grab one extra level there. Ziz's HP is looking a little better, but still pretty low. 366 total HP now.
It's looking even lower now that he's getting hit by those freeze pulses. Fortunately, doesn't get frozen, but he still has a huge discharger with, I believe, powerful crits on his back. He knows that if he starts attacking anything, he's gonna get blown up. So he takes his time, gets out of there. Well played by him.
He was trying to get away from the discharger, and then the tickle door trap popped up and gave him a little bit of a tickle, not letting him through.
Oh yeah, that was absolutely a tickle that Ziz did not enjoy. You could see the weird grimace on his face. But he's getting through.
Here we go. The next attempt for Izaro. Will this be their successful run? It pretty much has to be at this point. So best of luck to the guys. They got that cube absorption, so they can take out one of these statues and lock it down. Ideally, it wants to be the left or the right one, not the middle one.
Well, I think it really depends on personal preference.
We want the two statues close together. You don't want to have to be going all the way across the room.
I mean, it depends. Some players prefer to just be seeing the upper statue, and you do see more when you are looking towards the top left, which is the statue that might have disabled here.
Ziz is going to be on statue duty here from the looks of things, which I think is probably a wise choice, because we did almost see him get killed by an auto attack from Izaro there, so even those regular attacks, very scary. Ziz on top of dodging the wind slash, thankfully not on top of the wind slash, because that's not what you want.
Yeah, they're not really utilizing their skills well enough. Havoc is blinding Izaro, but it does seem like Ziz maybe is trying a little bit too hard to do damage, honestly. If he were to put down that decoy totem in next to Havoc's blinding Orb of Storms, I believe the totem would be able to live just long enough so that they can actually control the fight a lot better, but instead he opts to deal damage.
This is going very low to a fireball barrage there, thankfully having enough resistance and HP to survive it. Wind Slash is going for the totem this time. Very nice. I do definitely have to keep track of where that totem is for when Izaro decides to turn around and take a swipe at it.
Yep, that was definitely a lot better. You could see...
The pitch of the casters increases rapidly as Ziz's health drops. The lower the HP, the higher the pitch, and they successfully get through the first phase there. Well done, guys.
Full poker face, no, not even a flinch as he drops down to 10 HP, shows us the thumbs up. We know it's coming. They're definitely doing it at this run.
Second phase,
that 20 HP made all the difference, right?
Oh, yeah.
He probably would have been dead by now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he survived on that 20 HP. The second phase is going to be the toughest for them, though. That was what they died to before. They get the Dark Shrine this time. What is it? That's a, like, armor evasion?
Impenetrable. Yeah, it's just increased statistics, increased basic defense, basically. So they do have 100. Yeah, Hover has 120 energy shield now. It's this rocking 21. That's hopefully going to be helping out with some of the stuns that they can get hit by from Izaro, as energy shield does grant you 50% chance to prevent getting stunned. And they immediately head out into the next phase, disregarding the potions entirely. Ziz doesn't have all his potions. Havoc like, come on, Doug, you're absolutely fine. Who needs potions? Just don't get hit. Forehead, they're getting back in it.
Are they going to be able to stay on top of the bearer statues here, though? That's the question, because it was ultimately the bearer that killed Ziz in that very first run. They're,
Oof, Ziz taking his time with dodging that slam, punishing it in the end. Maybe hoping for the blind to do a little bit more work than it did over there.
Looks like they're just not even worrying about the bearer statues, just letting them go. Nope. They're like, we're doing this at full throttle. We're going to be doing this with the bearers.
They did help Alira, and they did plan out for that enduring cry. So they do have res.
And it does take a lot of downtime in terms of DPSing Izaro to manage those statues. Especially with the damage they're rocking now. It's actually very difficult to kill off those statues. Oh, Ziz dodging into the wind slash, but luckily evading it. Havoc's blind probably doing some work there.
Yeah, that seemed quite calculated to me. This is definitely displaying some high-octane gameplay here. I think they're getting him down. Yeah, they're lining it up a lot better. You can see that Ziz is putting down the decoy totem right next to the Orb of Storms, getting Izaro blinded for longer periods of time.
Ooh, oh my god. So
that
low.
being said, Izaro turns around with the bitch slap. He's like, get out of here. Why don't you control the statues instead? Slaps Ziz, drops low, nails him with the barrage, but still Ziz makes it through.
Such resilience, Izaro proclaims after seeing Ziz somehow survive that with the minimum possible amount of HP.
Yeah, that was very impressive, honestly, from Izaro. He was just constantly being focused by the decoy. Eventually, he was like, yo, what is this Overwatch meta? I'm constantly getting stunned and knocked around. This doesn't seem fun at all. Eventually, turns around, nails Ziz right in the gabber, but Ziz makes it through, no problemo. And now they've got the easiest part, arguably, to deal with Izaro.
Well, it normally is the easiest if you succeed the first two phases, but the third phase is going to be just as hard as the second phase for them because all of the bearers are active. Ziz getting a haircut from the trap there.
All part of the great plan. He knows exactly what he's doing. They've already done, I believe, no, they haven't made it through phase 2 yet, so this is the first time that they're actually made it this far.
Yes,
I'm sure that Impenetrable Shrine helping out.
Yeah, the Impenetrable Shrine might well have saved Ziz at the end there. And also that extra level of HP, saving him earlier. So I think everything's coming together here for them to be able to succeed, take down Izaro, and finally ascend their characters.
Very much so. I think they got it primarily under control here. Unless they do run into a bunch of bearers, which, you know, that's one of the big things you learn. Ziz and Havoc absolutely known for their high endgame performances in those level 100 races, and one of the #1 things that you gotta learn is dodge those bears. So both of them showing a level of confidence that I myself probably wouldn't risk, and having those bears active, they're really banking on their high level gameplay here.
Well, I think as long as you say bears, 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 the bearers can't do any damage to you. So as long as they're just constantly chanting that like a mantra throughout the fight, then I think they basically develop an immunity for it. So
yes, with the only exception being that there's bearers non-stop, so that's all they're saying, and I don't see their lips moving enough at all to be.
No, yeah, I don't think they're keeping up the chant, and maybe that was the problem in the first fight. They did not keep up the bears chant.
Yeah. No, I can absolutely see that. Again, entering the Izaro fight, No Quicksilver for Havoc. No Mana Flask for Ziz. They don't care. They've got this.
Doesn't
they
even
know
matter.
They've got it under control.
Here we go. The final phase. This is their last shot to take down Izaro today. Let's see if they can claim that victory.
Yeah, I believe they've got it under control. They've planned this out in the end. Maybe they didn't quite account for Ziz's low HP, but maybe it will work out. Over here, let's just see. Yeah, Havoc dodging everything, still keeping up. Keeping up the Orb of Storms is the biggest trick. And honestly, with Izaro primarily performing attacks, it's kind of risky because a lot of stuff targets the decoy totem, and you can see if those bears blow up on Ziz's decoy totem, it pretty much dies instantly, actually. So maybe that was the big flaw in their plan, that those bears left alone don't allow Ziz to DPS frequently enough because he has to continuously keep dropping down those decoys.
It's just so hard for them to manage that statues in the second phase. Oof. This corner that Izaro's been in for most of this fight is really scary, with the bearers just limiting their ability to maneuver around him. Ziz going hugely low from the bears there. Yep. That was just the bears alone doing massive damage to him. Ziz's resist just not enough to mitigate that damage. Yeah.
Well played with that endurance charges uptime, honestly. That's been working out pretty great for them.
Oh yeah, with the extra resist from that might well have saved him there. And, yeah, they're doing it though. They're doing it. Izaro's very low, probably sub 10% HP here. Ziz just narrowly dodging another wind slash right there. He's probably going to have to dodge another one or two here. Ooh, he almost dodges towards one, but realizing the decoy totem is over there, I don't want to dodge that way. Dodges to the left a bit. Izaro's getting very low. Here's their chance. They've got it. Can they do it? Yes! Ziz cheering. Popping off. Very nicely done, guys. Very nicely done.
I think no words need to be said. All we have to do is look at Ziz's screen. That explains everything, all the frustrations and the triumphs of this race. Very nicely done.
Very nicely done. Well deserving of the easy claps. Ascending, Ziz takes champion. Ascending himself on his screen there as the champion. Well done. Well done, guys. A very tough fight. Success in the end. But Izaro racking up a few kills for the day already. Love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely so. But unfortunately, Ziz and Havoc are knocked out of the tournament. They did make it to the semis with a very impressive first and second performance. However, Goratha and Waggle just narrowly beating them out, and they will be the ones to be moving on into the final. But before that, we still have another semis coming up with another group of players from yesterday, meaning Ventura and Dead and Doom, and also Gucci Pradas and Stupefy Hobbit, who were the players who made it out from the losers bracket yesterday, after previously being beaten by Ventura and Dead and Doom. So this is a rematch from yesterday of a very close race.
Some spicy backstory on this one, with Gucci Pradas and Stupefy Hobbit managing to get through on the losers bracket to get this fateful rematch. So they're going to be bringing out everything. I don't think there's going to be any gentlemen's agreements this time around. I'm looking forward to the pick and ban phase to see what happens for this next semifinals. Coming up in about 10 minutes.
Absolutely so. It will be very interesting. Again, Gucci Pradas and Stupefy Hobbit having a little bit of a ping issue, while Ventura and Dead and Doom maybe having a little bit of an ego/confidence issue. Hopefully that's going to give Gucci and Hobbit, who rely on each other a little bit more, maybe a slight advantage in this upcoming race.
We're just going to see if we can get a little bit of an interview here from Waggle and Goratha. Just getting confirmation. We might be able to get the guys in for a chat for a couple minutes.
Waggle does seem to say sure, with Goratha nowhere in sight. I'm not exactly sure. Get that Goratha in here. Come on, this is a team effort.
Here we go. I'm gonna drag him down. Goratha and Waggle, congratulations on your wins, guys. Tell us about your race.
Well, you know, we really planned ahead. I think it really just came down to the strategy of baiting them by disconnecting. Give them a false sense of security, and then you just come up from behind.
I figured
Wow,
Waggle was
you-
sabotaging me again.
You were ahead prior to the disconnect, so I'm not sure about that coming up from behind. Were you worried possibly that your setup was not optimal for the Izaro fight itself, and instead you just gained an advantage through quick progression?
Nah, I think we had the opposite going in, where the explosive trap was going to be a lot of Izaro damage, but not so great on the progression.
Yeah, our Zara went really smooth, but then again, we had like an acceleration shrine, so I don't actually know how well it would have gone without that.
No, your damage overall throughout the entirety of the Izaro fight honestly was looking pretty impressive, although we were a little bit surprised. Initially, we did think that you guys are going to be falling a little bit ahead from the Act 1, not quite having the best of progression. What was the main reason why you ended up with one class with no onslaught and then the other class being a ranger that isn't exactly known for the best Act 1 progression?
I think I just got unlucky. Like I didn't get a straight air quiver until Act 2. I had a black heart, but my damage is really bad in Act 1 for some reason.
Hmm. Okay, okay.
How
So
about that,
overall, it went pretty okay.
Yeah, the Act 1 was slow, but I think we were more of banking on Ranger being a much safer class on Izaro, since you can hit him from like off screen.
Ranger's also better without movement skills. You get all the move speed from the tree. This is better at running through stuff later on.
Hmm.
My damage is actually quite high because I had decent gear.
Well, you are saying that Act 1 was actually pretty slow, but you ended up in a pretty good time. I believe it was under 16 minutes, maybe even?
I think ours was like 17, and we
It's
didn't
like
even do
16
the trial until later.
Oh,
like, yeah.
okay.
And
So
it wasn't
overall,
terrible. It was slower than our practice run though.
well, you do still have the finals to redeem yourself. Any maybe initial strategies? I'm sure the opposing team is not listening to the stream, so maybe you guys can give us just a little bit of an idea of what you're going for.
Honestly, we didn't have a strategy going into this really. We did one practice run, and that was today. And I was playing Arc, and how I pick Arc. So I kind
That
of
was really when it was locked in. When we saw Havoc pick Arc, we knew the race was over.
Yeah, Arc wasn't very good in the practice run.
Oh. Getting the
Well-
insight from the practice there. Nice confidence boost.
Wait, so you guys didn't want Arc or you wanted Arc?
We tried it like 1 hour before we used Arc, and it was terrible. It was like actually
Goratha
just
tried to
trash.
play self-cast Arc against my advice to not do that.
Okay.
Well, I had
Right,
a
right.
thrilling trap and a thrilling self cast, so I had onslaught with it. It was still bad.
But on the other side, we apparently have seen you guys practice Blade Vortex, and then you were the ones who banned it. So, what was your thought process there?
didn't ban
Was Blade Vortex never planned?
Pretty
No,
sure
no,
banned
they
it.
banned it.
Yeah, that was Havoc's ban,
Oh.
and Havoc was practicing Blade Vortex.
Oh,
banned his
okay. I
own
thought it was
skill.
Waggle. I was like, wait a minute, hold up, something's not right here. Okay.
I think
okay.
it's if you don't have first pick, you have to ban Blade Vortex practically.
Mm,
I mean,
It's
Flish
just
Chat's pretty good.
Well-rounded for the race overall.
Yeah, Blade Vortex is insane though.
So would you say overall, because yesterday you had a very interesting strategy of picking Fire Trap, which allowed you a little bit more versatility when it came to those Act 1 abilities, would you say that Explosive Trap overall has worked out despite the lack of Onslaught, or would you rather go for a Fire Trap setup again?
It's hard to say. I tried it out because we were planning on letting Goratha do the Act 1 running anyway, and then at that point it doesn't really matter as much. I think Explosive Trap worked out really well for the Izaro fight since damage is such a big deal, and Explosive Trap just, I think, does more than any other trap skill that I'm aware of.
All right. Okay. I think we'll start preparing for the next race with that, unless Ziggy, you've got some more questions.
No, congratulations, guys. Fantastic. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the grand finale a little bit later today.
Yeah. Thanks for
Looking
having
forward
us.
to it. Hopefully Waggle doesn't DC again.
Hey, yo, tell those guys to not ban troll skills this time.
I'm looking forward to some aggressive picks
I
and
want them to
bans.
suffer.
Perfect. All right, catch you guys then.
Thanks. Later.
See ya.
Well, Rise, we're going to have a couple minutes intermission here while I set up for the next race. And viewers, we shall see you guys again very soon for Dead and Doom Adventurer versus Gucci Pradas and Stupid Fat Hobbit, the fated rematch. We'll see you guys then.
See you guys soon.